Good evening, everyone. System Chalk here with the 116th episode of our first run through Book of Hours, playing as the artist. Well, first run on YouTube. So we've unlocked Collar's office. We've talked a little bit about what he was doing in there, and we are working on our way to opening up the mazed cell. But to do that, we're going to need the help of our Newman, which we will have in 48 seconds. The other thing that I'm trying to do is get... I'm trying to get another sky. Now, it did occur to me... so if I use something like the solar altar, I'm trying to recall if it will accept a feather. It doesn't look like it, but there might be other things with sky that it accepts. I'm getting a bit stubborn. Oh, hang on. I think I remember an old trick that I did before. So now I believe we can use the hurricane lamp. Crafted Didumos evoke a chilly sky influence. Sacralamea with keeper level sky plus ascendant harmony creates a Didumos. This is the benefit of sometimes taking a minute to think about this stuff. Okay, so in terms of the day's tasks, we will get some lessons learned. It's almost certain that we are not going to be able to do anything with this, but I'll see if I can maybe preserve the memory nonetheless. We do want to catalog the books reasonably quickly, and then if I can, it would also be nice to try and bring back some of the persistent memories. But again, all of that sort of stuff that can happen tomorrow, given that we're already going to be working with Madame Bichet. It's also worth remembering that one of those persistent memories is the Wormwood Dream, which right now we've been relying on Asmiel, as well as a couple of tricks with Edict's Marshal. Edict's Marshal is now a higher level skill than when it was before, so it may turn out that I'm able to get the Wormwood Dream a bit easier than I did in the past. So again, the funny thing is about today, putting so much effort into leveling up Mrs. Kill wasn't really necessary, because what we get inside of this room maybe isn't as impressive as some of the other things we can be doing with our memories. But I think overall it's still nice to unlock more and more of the house and see what's there. So, down to the Grecians. Now, what are we at with? We've got 18 seconds, so I could talk with her for a memory, but I guess we don't really have that big of a need. That doesn't really stop me from being able to do anything either, though. So, Mrs. Kill has seen more of the world than she usually lets on. Conversations with her yield the occasional surprise. I should be getting my core back too. So just thinking about whether or not I'll be able to preserve something overnight. Okay, To a Pale Lady, a collection of Franklin Bancroft's letters to Ava de Wolfe. There is a substantial body of erotic pleading and half-finished poetry, but also learned discussions on matters mythical and marine, as well as notes towards a comic opera on which Franklin and Ava were apparently collaborating. Do not return, O my light, to the sea. None of us can be what we were. That is history's curse. None of us know what we may be. That is history's gift. Your mothers, and mothers of your mothers, are caught in eternity's jaws like a robe hem in a trap. It is the pearl that shines, but the tide that returns. Alright, pearl and tide. Let's see. I was kind of banking on salt being a smaller collection than it actually is. So I think I'm going to move Savage Hymns up here. this is supposed to be Solace. Oh, actually, hang on. What am I thinking of? I don't need to clear out any of these shelves. I just need to rearrange them. We may still change it after the fact, but I'd rather not consolidate shelves until I absolutely have to. Okay. Sun's weakness, we're going to use that with Mrs. Kill. Technically, I am out of elements of the soul to work with. Now, preserving salt, I believe I can do overnight, because we can use knock in the violet chamber. It's maybe worth taking a look to see if Pearl and Tide is the sort of thing I can get a level out of. So we would want 2 memories. It's a moon and a rose. So we've got the moon here. The challenge is we don't have anything else. So yeah, I think we'll preserve the salt to the next day, and then we can worry about leveling that up in earnest tomorrow. We're getting close to the end of the day, so I do actually want to start thinking about how I'm going to wrap everything up. One other option that I have is, because I have memories, I might take a shot at creating an Ascendant Harmony. We can do that at the organ. Better now. All right, so before I go too much further, let's actually see what we can do in terms of making the memory. So I am using up a lot of my music already, though. So if I used Sights and Sensations, that's not going to work. Yeah. If I want to do it, I'm probably going to need... I'm going to need a better memory. So I have 1 minute with Sacrum Lamea, and then in the kitchen, I've also got another minute. I mean, it's possible. So let's turn this around and think, all right, so let's say I want to do this. I have Applebright Euphonies to help me. So what I would want to do is I would want to make sure I have a desk that's going to be able to take the metal, so that's Edge and Forge, an Applebright Euphonies, which is Grail or Sky. This does the trick. Okay, so we are going to sit and wait on the metal rather than any of these others. I am, however, going to restore... Actually, I'll restore the... I'll restore the Whist, because we should still be able to afford... another round of the Sweet Bones. It is winter and the storms have tightened the seas. I am sitting before the fire in the Sweet Bones with a beef and potato pasty in one hand and a hot ale posset in the other. There tisn't be no tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. And what we'll do here is we will talk to her about the sun's weakness. I can discuss a memory with my assistant. This will use up the memory, but boost the assistant's abilities for the rest of the day. And that will give us access to the maze cell. We'll then talk with Madame Bichet about the Oriflamme heist, and then we can move on to the next day. So overall, it's a pretty full day, even though we wound up we were down an element of the soul because we were earning Spintria. I still think it's the right call that we did that, but certainly doesn't make it any less full. Memories don't last long outside books, but it's made the difference for the day. Now, if I want, I can keep generating memories with Mrs. Kill. The catch here is there's not a whole lot that I can do with that. So in this case, we'll just talk with Madame Bichet about the flair of the Oriflamme heist. The pleasure is all mine, librarian. Oriflamme's auction house is never robbed, but what if it has been? What if somehow priceless treasures have been replaced with pricey forgeries? How could we even be sure? I'm looking into Oriflamme's story, the theft, the forgeries. So for this we only need 3 forged, so we'll look for a light forge book. I don't pretend to be any kind of expert, but some of the details about their safeguards seem curious. I'm hoping your collection will help me look into that. So if I can find a 4 forge book, that's best. I wonder if Bancroft Diaries will do the trick, actually. That's a lantern one. Again, it's not a major harm, especially because of how infrequently people visit. If I wind up giving a higher level forge book, we're probably not going to exhaust our forge options, but as a whole, it's just nice to give myself a little more runway. Yeah, these would be higher level books. So any of the... Okay, so 8... Can't see why we would have Forge with the Geminiad. The Silver Book is Moth. I perhaps didn't appreciate that all of the... Okay, Journal of Walter de Wolf is an option. Maybe didn't appreciate how high all of the Forge stuff is in my library. Okay. I'm content. It's not the sort of thing I want to... Like, I don't want to tear apart the library just to find a 4 forge. It's, you know, it's a future me thing that I'm doing here, not a, you know, not a major secret, so... Curious indeed. This has given me more than enough to work with, librarian. Thank you. Okay. Let's get going on the maze. We technically have enough time for another chat with Mrs. Kill, but it gives us absolutely nothing. So, a leathery burgundy mesentery has spread out and around the doorway of this cell. Chitin? Fungus? It crumbles beneath my hands, emitting choking fumes. It'll be impossible to enter the cell without clearing it. So again, this is an overkill in terms of Mrs. Kill. Sorry, I really did not mean to put it that way, but it's amusing once you realize. But in this case here, I preferred it to giving up the jam. So the fact that we can make Sacrament Calcite is a bonus. Although again, Applebright Euphonies is certainly a high priority skill for the next little while. Time, peace, recovery. Better now. And in the name of the hour that gives life, of the hour that takes life, of the hour that is not sated. So again, this only gets me Grail, which previously we said, well, you know, our Grail is already pretty high level, but given that we're going to be knocking down a few more rooms, it's nice to know that we have the option of boosting our Grail if we need. Now, let's see if we can make something happen with the... Ascendant Harmony. So yeah, we've got 7. So this means that if we add the Mazarine Fife, this should be sufficient with a memory, but we can use Sight for this. Actually, turns out we don't need a memory, we just need the Ascendant Harmony. Fair enough. So 1 minute 30 seconds, but this is one of the reasons why I was a little bit on the fence about whether or not this would work, because depending on when Applebright Euphonies becomes available, excuse me, the challenge is that I don't want to lose, I don't want to lose the medal. The medal in particular, just because I might want to try some of these books. I don't want to wind up in a situation where I feel like I don't want to wind up in the situation where I can't read a book, or I can't take advantage of something without sort of twisting around the day in order to just get a persistent memory. I'm still technically kind of doing that already, because I am going to need to read the scroll again. So for instance, do I really need this money, or would it be better for me to make the to get the Newman? The thing is, I don't see the Newman as an input to anything that I immediately need to do right now, so I can leave that for tomorrow. But yeah, it's one of these things where if I can set up the day a little bit better, I want to take the opportunity. The focus tomorrow is going to be on locking in Pearl and Tide, I think. I could offer help with correspondence and arithmetic. There is no school in Brandkrug, and not everyone here knows their letters. Alright, the dream of a star is not apparent to the human eye, but its presence, once felt, could not be mistaken for anything else. I do like that we get to keep the light source. I think if it's a candle, we lose it, but the hurricane lamp. I don't know, sometimes I sort of, the pendulum swings between finding it amusing. You have these images of like rituals done with candles and everything being properly formed, but given modernization, this idea that because what the ritual requires is not some, there's nothing special about candles, they just wind up being light sources. And so the fact that all that is required is a light source, you just kind of turn on a flashlight and that is as good as the candle. I don't know. Sometimes, like I said, I have a little smile over it, and sometimes I just find it practical. Anyways, curious indeed. This has given me more than enough to work with, librarian. Thank you. So bronze Spintria for our trouble, and Orflam's auction house is never robbed, but what if it has been? What if somehow Price's treasures have been replaced with pricey forgeries? How could we even be sure? So here we have got Hokebald, Magister Hokebald, employed by Oriflammes to make improvements to their vault, though he might have found useful information at Hush House, although he was careful to point out that it wasn't very useful. Dagmar, Daymare, was clearly concerned that she might be blamed for the heist, real or not, justly or not, but her researches at Hush House gave her hope that she might escape suspicion. And Madame Bichet thought that she'd identified oddities in Oriflamme's account of their security measures, and what she found at Hush House encouraged her to look into the matter further. Okay, the cell. This was the last prisoner to be admitted to the jail, but only the date has been recorded. No record of its origin, crime, or arrest remains. Collars was a man of many secrets. Sometimes, however, he was also a generous man, and he insisted it be provided with a bed and with writing materials should it ever feel the need for them. Chrysalis, something might emerge if it could only be assured of a hospitable history. Until that time, its dreams might be audible to one who presses an ear against its trembling, sky-scented warmth. And here we have the impermeable cell. A sign outside the cell reads, "Warning, not to be spoken with nor looked upon." The protections that still hang in the air lend force to the injunction. So this is quite a strong area. So we've got Forge, Knock, and Sky. Not unlike the Incandescent Hollow. So our most likely next destination will be the Stifling Chamber with Mr. Kill. In fact, we'll take a second to work on that right now. I know we're not going to get it done today, but we can at least take some notes. So if we go Mr. K. So he starts off with 2 winter. We can give him the Whist, which is another 2. So that's a total of 4. Now under memories, I'm trying to remember... I think my most powerful memory right now is the Didymos. It's funny, I thought I wrote this down somewhere, but I don't have it immediately available to me, so I'm actually going to put down a 2 for the memory, and if we need to work harder on this, I'll try and find something else. Okay, and then we don't have a tool, but we do have a drink. And that drink is Solomon's Preparation, which is not as impressive as it used to be. So that brings us up to 10. So we are going to be looking for something higher with winter. So we're short 3. So one thing that I can use is the wood. We don't have a winter tool, and we don't have, we don't really have winter food that I'd be willing to give up. Oh, what am I saying? I remember the winter memory that we need. We need the Wormwood Dream. Silly me. Alright, that changes things quite a bit. Yeah, so Wormwood Dream... and we have more than enough. So yes, we can open up the stifling chamber without too much trouble. We haven't even tried Denzel yet with the forge, but again, Denzel costs something, so it's not, you know, there's kind of a reason for that. It's just I have simpler alternatives. Okay. We'll let the help with letters do its thing. We will preserve the salt for tomorrow. That'll be a point of focus. I'm definitely interested in pursuing the Cucurbit prisoner records or something along, or the forged texts tomorrow, but we'll see how far I can get. An afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers to the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers through the requirements of the Ministry of Agriculture. Also, out of curiosity, if I were to hire someone, when shilling... so it is moon and sky. I mean, if I want, I could maybe try some of the moon stuff that I had planned today. Or not today, but like this this winter season. For some reason, I thought it would be the tinners that would help us, but looks like we can do more than one. Anyways, I don't think it's a bad idea for us to pursue some of these rooms, but I also think it would be good for me to actually take the time to work out some priorities, because I have a lot that I want to do, and I can see this getting out of hand reasonably quickly. I'm going to feel very nervous about this Ascendant Harmony until it's... There we go. With Keeper level Sky and Ascendant Harmony might conjure a Didymos. Alright, daybreak, memories fade, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. So, I am going to take a minute here just to work out what my... Again, I need to be kind of conscious of the fact that I only have so much time left in the episode, but Pearl and Tide, so it's basically the Tryst and the Fet that are sort of spoken for in terms of leveling them up. We only need one of each. And then in terms of the memories, it's trivial. Like, we need, what is it, 5 in total. But what I'm hoping to do, excuse me, is make more of the day, right? Be able to get a follower to do certain tasks. So it seems to me that if I'm putting a lot of emphasis on... So we're talking about Mr. Kill and... winter. Let's actually take a minute and see what we get with moon. Sorry, my headphones are still causing me trouble. So if we go for, so let's say fisherman. Now it's worth remembering that's one moon, and that's the same story there with the tryst. So that's one, so that brings us up to 2. Now with the tool that we have, that also brings us a 1, so we're up to 3. But we sort of supercharge things once we give the Wormwood Dream. So with 6 there, that brings it up to 9. So we're frustratingly close to our target. But the question is, where do we get that one last moon? Now, I don't recall if the Witching Tisane gives us a moon. Islewater does. So I suppose that solves the problem for us. Yeah, it wasn't even close on the Tisane. Okay. So that's a good to know. I don't know if I want to do this right now, or if I want to consider some of my other options. Now, the Riddling Stare is going to be a bit harder for me to work with, I think. But yeah, so knowing what I know now, I actually think I'm going to go for Mr. Kill for today, and part of it honestly just comes down to the fact that it's more of the jail. It's a chance for us to kind of continue this particular story. So I'm going to start with the Whist. Mr. Kill always enjoys a chance to catch up with me. Now let's see if we can get started on that. Okay, so we have more than enough, but I don't have a memory to work with. That's interesting. So technically it can actually use other elements of the soul that aren't... So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the Arab for the simple reason that... excuse me. I don't need... I don't need Arab the same way that I need Tryst today. Okay, so yeah, we will work on the Wormwood Dream. I am just going to wait a little while on this, though, because we need Mr. Kill for other things. And it's a snowy day, so that's not going to change the equation with Mr. Kill, but that might get me other things. I've carried a memory like a flambeau safe through the mazes of night. This will complete once dawn has come. For instance, I might find it easier to make a Solomon's Preparation. Mr. Kill can always spare a few hours to help a friend. Okay, so actually, you know what? We are still going to talk with Mr. Kill. Mr. Kill, Ryan Spry, doesn't mind stopping for a gossip. So this is not necessary, but I do want to spend the 30 seconds to get something that I can use as an input to the Wormwood Dream. Tubbins will buy me a hearty meal in a quiet place where I can rest and gather my thoughts. I will bring in a confounding parable. So I was going to use the Arab for something else. I'm running out of easy inputs for recipes. I'm just trying to think. There aren't actually that many memories that we can generate from Mr. Kill that will allow us to level up Pearl and Tide, so I should probably pencil all of these in for being used with Pearl and Tide. But the easiest thing for me to do right now is to bring in a... it's easiest for me to bring in a confounding parable, because I know that's never going to come in. So I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. There's actually a similar argument that could be made for, so we've got Secret Threshold, Stolen Secrets, and Bittersweet Certainty. I'm pretty sure Secret Thresholds... Stolen Secret. No, hang on. Yeah, I remember this. So Stolen Secret is something that can actually come from a character. That's why we don't do that. Intuition can. We've already got Salt. And technically we just need 2 to start with, so I think I'm going to leave that be. But I wonder if we can get an early start on Solomon's Preparation. I'm just 1 short. What a shame. But then wasn't that the reason I was going to use the snow? Muddle and mix a wintry preparation. Now I do at some point want to read the Newman, but again, that's not critical for today. I think at this point I want to see how close I am to leveling up Pearl and Tide. And then we can see regret. Every choice has its shadow. Dead men don't tell no bloody tales. We'd listen. Okay, so this I actually think is kind of convenient for the Noctonary. So Edicts Martial, Esmeal. Now technically I don't need to use the Tryst now, so we'll craft the Wormwood Dream. Recall a forgotten crime of moon and winter. That's 90 seconds spoken for. Now we can't level up Mr. Kill's... when it comes to the things that I want to level up with Mr. Kill, can't use the Whist. We don't have the memory yet, so really we're down to the drink. Which, again, no hardship. Oops. A nice drop. I can offer my assistants something to drink. This will increase their aspects. They'll also be glad of the refreshment. But yeah, some of today is just going to be balancing between trying to talk to Mr. Kill and get certain things, and getting him to generate memories, because there are some things that I want to do with the day once I know where we sit. So... for instance, with Pearl and Tide, we're really just waiting for one of the memories to be able to level this up. But then there's 3 other elements of the soul that are spoken for. And with the elements of the soul, I want to catalog the books, and I want to... Oh yeah, I guess I said I was going to hang on to the Forge so that I would have the option of reading these. I've changed my mind on that, obviously, but down to the Grushians. This has boosted their aspects appropriately. Letters from a Fugitive. Lars Westergren, explorer and murderer, spent 7 years escaping justice through his knowledge of byways and shortcuts in the bounds. Throughout that time, he wrote regularly to his daughter, possibly in part to taunt his pursuers. A year with the Legion de Sul, patrolling the bounds until he deserts. A month in the Priory of Captains in Moraband. 7 days, or so he claims in Ys behind the wave. Cornered at last by his pursuer, Westergren writes that he will attempt the paths of the sun. He doesn't seem sanguine about his chances, and indeed, this is his last letter. An editor's note adds that Westergren's whereabouts or end remain unknown, although he supposedly was sighted at the Christmas market in Vienna, the negotiations between the invisible underworld figures that happen each year there in 1929. So there's our confounding parable. We can level up Pearl and Tide with that right away. And better now, so that gives us something to level up Mr. Kill with. We'll watch for what lies ahead. Boosts Winter and Lantern. Against my better judgment, I think I'm going to use the Shapt to do the fixing and mending. There's not much work on offer in Brandkrug, but I can find 6 pence worth of odd jobs. I will make sure that we don't just use this for making money, but that we do in fact turn this into a book catalog at some point. Let's take the time to level up Pearl and Tide. So Pearl and Tide will be level 4 when all is said and done. I am no expert, but I'm no dabbler either. Improve this skill to level 3. And I'm trying to decide, like, I know I'm at the half-hour mark for this episode, so I'm wondering if I can do the dummy-proof just set up for all of the readings and call it a day. Or if I want to try and get clever with some of the stuff. So here's where I'm thinking about Pearl and Tide. Realistically, all that we need are 3 Rose or Moon memories. So we've got the Confounding Parable, we've got Salt, and see, again, Secret Thresholds and Intuition are technically things that we can get from Mr. Kill. They're unlikely, but they're not impossible. Oh, there's the answer. Contradiction. Yeah, so we would want a Fet and a Trit. Okay, so we're kind of giving up things that are nice to have, but not... I don't know, it's not going to completely... It's not going to completely upend the playthrough to do this. So yeah, okay, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to read As the Sun Is Course at Ava's desk. I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. We will read The Crossing to Noon. And I will use the core to read... The Moon's Egg. So that's basically Pearl and Tide spoken for. So now we've got the core, the health, and the Faust. And you know, this eats up my entire day. But here's what I'm thinking about that. So it used to be that the way that I would catalog books... the way that I used to catalog books would be take each individual element of the soul, try them one at a time because of the chances that there was a malady on one of them. Now the reason why this isn't really that viable of an option anymore is that if you have a cursed element of the soul, yes, you can still use them to catalog books, but you have the potential to transfer that curse, which means that I have that small danger that I get multiple curses at once, and then I'm inconvenienced in terms of what I can do with my elements of the soul. But I'm definitely not going to use the cursed element of the soul to catalog anymore. So in this case, I am actually going to catalog everything all at once. So, catalog a Nocturnal Period book. This book was probably written around the time of Hush House's Nocturnal Period, after the turn of the century. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. Books from this period are almost never contaminated. Almost never is not the same as never. Now I'm running short on desks. That's not gonna do the trick. I think I might have put myself in a corner, actually. Yep. The smarter thing would have been to use the lantern with Ambrose's desk, because then I could have used the scale at the pale desk, but I didn't, so I can't. So Ambrose, perhaps surprisingly, does not have a heart aspect at his desk, or a grail aspect at his desk. The Vagabond desk, oh, Vagabond desk requires scale, I forgot. Or doesn't require, takes scale. Which means Nona's desk will allow us the core for the Nocturnal Period. So the FET is going to be what we level up Pearl and Tide with. In a minute, we'll get the memories required for that. We still don't have the Newman, but again, not a big deal. We can probably get that from the Shapt when all is said and done. And then as far as Mr. Kill is concerned, what we'll do is we've got him up to 8 at this point. So really it's just a question of the Wormwood Dream, and then he'll be good to go for the Stifling Chamber. In reality, I'm going to talk with him to generate some other memories, because maybe we'll get something interesting, and I'll have other options. But of course, all of this is going to be something that we take care of in a future episode. I should maybe mention one other thing that I haven't sorted out, but I will at some point in the future, is it would be nice to get another Asmiel to use as an input for the Wormwood Dream, because at minimum we would want to go into the Wheel-Filled Spring. But again, I've said this a few episodes in a row now, we have got lots of options available to us in terms of what we do. In fact, it's worth recalling that what we're doing with Mr. Kill right now, if we give him Winter, and that brings him up to 8, I should maybe double check the math on this, but if we truly are up to a point where we're at 14 with the Wormwood Dream, then that means we can give him the U. Sorry, the Impermeable Cell isn't the one that we wanted. But we can get to the Incandescent Hollow. Which, I mean, maybe I want to try and do at some point, but I figure let's go for the Stifling Chamber first. But I think it's fair to say that we have at least one more task for Mr. Kill, and then of course at least one more task for the fisherman when the time comes. So lots to do. Thank you for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.